Imagine a quiet town in northern Minnesota, a place of forests, lakes, and endless wheat fields. This is where David Hanson was born in 1951. His childhood was simple, built on hard work, respect, and keeping your word. His father, a World War II veteran, rarely spoke of the war. But the medal in the glass case above the fireplace was a silent testament to duty. In 1969, at just 18, David saw a different world on the news, a distant war in Vietnam. One day, without a word to his family, he enlisted in the Air Force. His mother cried. His father shook his hand and said, "Son, duty isn't always chosen, but honor is earned." Vietnam was a world away from Minnesota. The air was thick, the heat suffocating, and the sound of helicopters was a constant drone. As an aircraft maintenance specialist, David's job was tense and unforgiving. One mistake could mean lives lost, but the nights were the worst. Sirens, mortar, fire, and the sky ablaze. During one such attack, he watched his best friend, Mike Donnelly, fall. That single horrific image would be seared into his memory, haunting him in the silence for decades to come. Years later, his wife would find a line in his old diary. "I don't know how to explain what I feel. It's like the noise is still here, inside me, even when everything outside is quiet." He returned home in 1972, not to parades or cheers, but to a divided nation that made many veterans feel like strangers. David tried to rebuild his life. He married his high school sweetheart. Mary had 2 children and got a good job as a mechanic. On the surface, he was the picture of a stable, hard-working man, but inside, the war raged on. He'd wake up in a cold sweat, convinced he heard explosions. He checked the locks obsessively. The fireworks on the 4th of July were unbearable. Every time fog rolled through the trees, he was instantly transported back to the jungle. Mary tried to comfort him, but he couldn't find the words. In those days, there was no name for what he was going through. No one talked about post-traumatic stress. They just said veterans weren't the same when they came home. The years rolled by. His children grew up, his hair turned gray, but the nightmares remained his constant companions. He retreated into a fortress of routine and silence. He avoided crowds and loud noises, preferring to eat lunch alone in his workshop. To his co-workers, he was a good man, but distant. His wife, who loved him deeply, felt a chasm growing between them. It was as if she was living with a ghost, a man who was physically present but emotionally lost somewhere far away. David had accepted this as his reality, a heavy burden he believed he had to carry alone, in silence. He thought this was just how life was. But one winter night, everything would change. He was over 60 when it happened. A nightmare, more vivid and terrifying than any before, ripped him from his sleep. He woke up screaming, bolted out into the yard and collapsed into the snow, his heart pounding in his chest. Mary ran to him, her voice choked with tears. The next morning, she looked at him, her gaze soft but unyielding. "You're not there anymore, David. You're here, but you're not living. Please, ask for help." Pride, shame, and fear made him resist. But the love and desperation in her eyes finally broke through his defenses. He picked up the phone and made a call to the Veterans Affairs Center. In that moment, without realizing it, David Hanson took the most courageous step of his life. At the hospital, he was finally given a name for his suffering: post-traumatic stress disorder. The doctors explained that what he felt wasn't weakness. It was a deeply human response to inhuman experiences. He began therapy with a specialized team. His therapist, Dr. Thompson, proposed a treatment called prolonged exposure therapy. "It's going to be hard," she warned him, "but if you face your memories instead of running from them, you'll regain control." For months, David did just that. In the safety of her office, he relived his deepest fears: the sound of helicopters, the suffocating heat, the smell of smoke, and the final look in his friend Mike's eyes. He cried, he raged, and slowly, piece by piece, he began to heal. He also joined a support group, where listening to other veterans' stories made him realize a profound truth: he was not alone. After a year of intensive therapy, the changes were undeniable. The nightly terrors became less frequent. He started sleeping through the night. One day, he decided to walk through the woods of his childhood, the same woods that had once triggered so much fear. He listened to the rustling leaves, the birdsong, the wind on his face, and for the first time in decades, it didn't remind him of war. It reminded him of home. His family saw the difference. He laughed more, spoke more, and rejoined the world. The scars were still there, but he had learned how to live with them instead of being ruled by them. In an interview for a VA program, he later said, "It's not about forgetting, it's about learning to live with what happened without letting it destroy you. For years I thought surviving was a curse. Now I know it was a second chance." Today, David Hanson is over 70, living with Mary in a small house by a lake in Minnesota. He's a regular at the Veterans Center, but now he walks in as a volunteer, not a patient. He sits with young men and women returning from war, carrying the same invisible wounds he once did. He tells them, "I thought I was broken too. But the soul doesn't break, it just dims for a while. And if someone reaches out their hand, you can light it again." His story, a real account shared by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, is a powerful example of a different kind of heroism, not on the battlefield, but in the quiet, courageous war to reclaim one's own soul. One warm summer day, David went back to the lake where his father first taught him to fish. He held a small box. Inside was his father's World War II medal and a faded photograph of his friend, Mike. He sat by the water's edge, closed his eyes, and whispered into the wind, "I came back, old friend. It took me a while, but I came back." A gentle breeze rippled across the water, and for the first time in nearly 50 years, David Hanson felt the profound, quiet embrace of true peace. If you or someone you know is struggling, please know that help is available and you are not alone. Reaching out is a sign of strength. Thank you for watching and listening to David's journey. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories of resilience and hope.